lord, all the jesters are within the castle's walls. Lock the gates. Lock the gates.
Hey everyone, welcome back. This is still you're just having too much fun with this, aren't you?
We'll have to explain it.
Yeah, so for the people that are not watching this on video, it's basically the artificial intelligence is bringing up different things. Like if you put your peace sign or thumbs up, you get a little thumb up on the screen. If you put the peace sign, you get balloons and so on. So he's having a lot of fun with that. We were having so much fun talking about the different rags to riches. Are we there yet? So we'll just take a few minutes and continue talking about it. Go ahead. What did you want to add to this?
Forgot what I was gonna say. I got so distracted by I did the peace sign and then balloons popped up and I was like, what the hell is that? And then if you do double peace sign, it's confetti. So that's pretty entertaining. Now it's not working. Newton's law. There we go. There's the double peace sign. There you go, confetti. No, the last thing we were talking on there that I recall was what you enjoy doing the most and
Right.
back and forth. So I was talking about my candy box scheme, right? I think
Yeah, we talked about paying your taxes.
yeah, paying your taxes. Even if it's illegal, IRS wants their cut. They don't care. No, so but this made me. Well, what I was actually gonna say was, for me personally, I never believed in the stock market, right? Because it's like a scratch off to me. I'd rather do a scratch off, right? Because at least it's the instant gratification on it there. You know, what I was going to say is for folks similar to me, where they're really apprehensive and it's like, hey, I think I can make this money dance faster than the stock market can. Right? Don't get me wrong, I still have, some investments there. I have to secure some type of retirement future within there. So I have that, the minimals set up. But what I always done to myself is like, your hot dog stand, you really enjoyed it because you got to pay your gas, you gave yourself some financial freedom and, had fun as a teenager. For me, I was building my phones and selling my candy and I was really empowered with my path, right? So some people just like to be really empowered with their income. And for me, I've worked for my company for almost 12 years at this point, and I know I have a future, and I always knew I had a future with them. So it was really hard for me to always invest any time into any sort of side business, because then I felt like I was taken away from main income. So whenever an opportunity arose, I would literally put it to myself like, okay, I can either make $10,000 doing this side hustle and it's going to take X amount of time for me, or I could put this amount of effort extra into my current career and I can make that annually over here. And that's what worked for me, quite honestly, right? I remember actually one time, I don't know if you remember this, one time years ago we had a conversation and I wasn't quite with 5 years yet. And I remember you said to me, what's your 5-year plan? I said, I'll make six figures in 5 years. And you said something to the effect like, good, but if it doesn't happen, do something else, right? And it's the realest advice.
That was a smart answering question there, huh?
Yeah, I was like, hey, well, that's pretty legit, right? And honestly, it stuck with me. And I always kept setting plans for myself. I set a 1-year plan, a 3-year plan, and a 5-year plan. So, long story short, when I got to Georgia has a lot of opportunity to, run your own business or anything to the effect like that. I told myself when I got to Georgia, this was about 3 years into my career, so this is probably right around the time frame I'm thinking that we would have had that conversation. And I said to myself, in the next 5 years, I'm going to be doing this and making this, or I'm going to be doing that. But before I get to that 5 years, in 1 year, I'm going to be doing this, or I'm going to be doing that. Right? So I say this to say in kind of a long-winded explanation here, whatever you do, who cares, right? Just set a goal and keep yourself to that goal. Because if you don't keep yourself to that goal, you're just walking aimlessly. Right? And that's how I feel like you have to approach everything in life. Whether you think you got the newest iPhone invention in your brain, or you're gonna have the best damn hot dogs this state has ever seen, commit, right? Commit and set an action plan. And keep yourself honest to your action plan. What I mean by that, and I stress this the most, sometimes shit doesn't work out. That doesn't mean, oh, it's meant to be, just someone stop him. No, just sometimes shit isn't meant to work out, right? So if you hit that 1 year mark and your parameters say, hey, this isn't working out, listen, if you want to give yourself a 6-month extension, sure. But when you get to that 6 months, don't give yourself another excuse to go 6 more, right? So set your parameters and keep yourself honest to it. The hardest thing you could do in any sort of success is to when to know to pivot on your plan.
You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them. You heard that song?
That's it. Yes, I did. That's like an old ancient song, right?
Know when to walk away.
And it's so legit, right? And you know, maybe for you know the generation closer to my generation, you know, they'll probably connect with, you know, the celebrities more. Dave Chappelle has a really good thing where he says on this, right? Where he says, anything you're going to do in life, name your price when you get into it. And the moment it gets too expensive, cash out. Whether that be money, personal endeavors, whatever it is, name your price. And when that shit is too expensive, cash out.
Listen, what you just said in reference to what Chappelle said, it's true. Where you have artists who are good artists making nice painting, but they're starving. And at the same time, you have an artist who you look at the painting, you're like, what the hell is that? But they set their price to say like, oh, this one painting is $250,000. And people will be like, oh yeah, but that's a Daniel's painting, you know, that's going to be worth money. So then they set the price and people pay it somewhere. So know your market, set your price. That is 100% true.
Yeah.
So what else are we going to talk about? I mean, do we want to talk about the experience on how I started the hot dog cart, or should we just
let's hear it. Go for it.
All right. So like I said before, when I was about 16, I had to get a worker's permit back then. I think I got it like at 14 or something like that. I got a worker's permit from the city. And
I remember that. I forgot New York does that. I had mine.
So, you know, like you got to go in, they got to make sure that you're doing okay, your health and all that other crap. You got to be seen by a doctor. So anyway, I got my worker's permit. I got a job working for a company that had hot dog carts within the park. The perimeter of the park and the inside of the park. So they had a contract with the city that they were the only vendors allowed to sell there. So I worked for them for about 2 summers. And yeah, I think I was like 14, 15 or 15, 16 or something like that. And I worked for them for like 2 summers. And then I'm like, you know, I'm pushing this hot dog cart halfway across the park. I'm counting all this money that I'm getting for selling these hot dogs, and I see how much is coming in. I see how much this costs. And by year 2, I said, light bulb, you know, like I can do this shit myself.
There you go.
So I started looking around where they got their hot dog carts and who manufactures the carts locally. So I gave them a call and I said like, hey, how much is this? How much is that? You know, for this type of cart. And they gave me a price and I'm like, okay. So I saved up the money, went over, purchased it, had to freaking put the cart in a van and take it to the health department in New York City so they can inspect it and give me a special clearance sticker on it saying like, yeah, this was inspected and it's healthy to serve food out of. So I had to go through all that. Let's see. Awesome. Once I got the sticker, I got the vendor's license. In addition to that, I had to do all the purchasing of the products. There was a place called, and this is before Costco, there was a place called Jetro, which you purchase stuff in bulk, so that you purchase it to resell it in stores. So with my registration of the vendor's license, I was able to register a business. And with that, I got a tax ID number. And I was able to open up that Jetro account. So I purchased hot dogs by the the packs and, the big packs and buns and the whole thing. So then I was like, I hustled it. I pushed it to a corner and I'm like, this corner's dead. The next day I pushed it to another corner until I found the corner that was like, this is the corner. So I started dealing and making money with selling hot dogs.
I want to expand on that, right? Because we've all hit a point in whatever, whether it be a business, career, school, we all hit a point where we're sitting in there, right? And as quick as you talk through it, those days where it was dead felt like a lifetime, I would imagine, right? How do you keep yourself motivated in those dead zones, right? Whenever you feel like, maybe you're sitting in that class or you're sitting at your job or you're sitting at, whatever it is, your business, and you're thinking, God damn, is it time to pivot, right? How did you come to that understanding? And as a 15, 16-year-old kid at that too, like hindsight is 20/20. It's easy to look back and say, this is what happened, but transport yourself back. How did you keep yourself motivated?
So, like I said, it was enough money for me to pay for the car insurance and gas, and that was happy with that at that point. The one thing I did not like was that on a rainy day, there was no hot dog business. Nobody was going to stop and buy a hot dog.
Sure, nobody's going to eat a soggy bun. I would never buy a hot dog in the rain.
So that's where I started thinking like, oh crap, this sucks, because if it's cold outside, if it's raining, if it's this, there's no business. So how do I set my mind to do something else?
Variables.
Yeah, and because of things like that, I started thinking about like, well, you know what? I hear real estate is not a bad thing. So at 18, I think I was that time, I went to St. John's University to take a real estate class, and I passed the exam, the state exam. So I got my real estate license, and that was a hustle by itself, man. That's a whole episode. I don't want to get into it. But because of that, knowing that if it rained or if it was cold, I was not getting paid, mentally, it was like, I got to do something else. So that's when I moved on to real estate license. So yeah, that's a different show. Let's go ahead. Let's move on to what you want to say on how, well, you already talked about what you've done and how to make money. What did you enjoy the most?
I touched on that, like as far as fixing the phones and stuff. Enjoyed the most, but I would say overall, even reflecting on it even more now, I think overall, anything I enjoyed the most is anything that I made come alive from my own hands, right? And what I mean by that is something I created, something I made, right? Something I fixed, like with the phones there. In my career, in my profession that I'm in now, it's in sales, and a big part of being successful in that sales piece is connecting with that individual in front of you and making something out of nothing, right? And so I think that's what's kept me most interested within, my current career. But what keeps it the most interesting is secure, right? I know I can pay my bills, I know I got some good benefits and all that stuff there, but I still keep that thirst and desire to create, right? So what I've been doing lately myself is I create, right? So I build a lot of stuff. I do a lot of woodworking, whatever crap I can do within there. But not only beyond that, I got 2 little kids, the third little kid on the way. I'm all against this chemicals and shit they put in our food. Yes, I'm one of those. We'll have a conspiracy episode eventually. Where's my balloons at? There you go. And what I enjoy the most is making my kids bread, making them bagels, making them sweets and desserts, right? And I know it's not really in a money-making sense, but back to the top of the discussion in the prior episode, or I guess the beginning of this whole topic here. Wealth shouldn't be defined by money; it should be defined by happiness, right? And I feel really wealthy and really, fortunate that I'm able to produce something for my kids to nourish their bodies. But not only within that, I'm keeping alive some old ways that we don't even do anymore, right? We used to make our own bread. We used to make our own, soups and stews and broths and everything. And quite honestly, anything I can home make, I make it for myself. And that's going to be the next business I venture into is starting to sell some of these products I make, because nobody knows how to do it, but everyone wants the benefits. So there's a big niche in it, right? And when you look at it in that sort of sense, I think the hardest part of any business, before you get to the enjoyable stage, before you get to the innovative, just that really in the beginning piece where you just have to make the decision to step over the line and start, right? I think that's the hardest part of a business. And all businesses have tough times. All businesses have good times. I think the absolute hardest part of running any said business is that first piece of, you saying, I'm going to buy my own cart, right? Me saying, I'm going to start selling my own product in there. That's the hardest thing to do, because it's a commitment. You're basically marrying yourself to that business, because in order for it to be successful, you're going to have to sacrifice, you're going to have to dedicate time, you're going to have to do everything that you do to nourish any other sort of, endeavor within your life. But for me, anything I can create with my hands, it's fun to me. I don't care if I'm making money out of it or not at the end, and I think a lot of that has to do with, I grew up with no money at all, right? I started from zero. So, when you don't have something in your life, you find other ways to, I guess not, I don't want to say compensate, but lack of a better term, to compensate, right? I never had money, so it was never something that, drove me in my decision making. I always drew myself into learning, right? What knowledge would I gain from this? What experience would I gain from this? And that's the angle of wealth I knew I can attain, and nobody could stop me from getting, right? So.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. I want to add to that from something you mentioned before, and that was me asking you a question like, where do you want to be in 5 years? What is your plan? And what if that doesn't work? I've always put myself in a similar situation, because you learn from experience. So that's why I asked that question way back in the day. At the same time, my hot dog cart, it didn't fail. It just I just needed to move on. The real estate license, I wouldn't say that was successful, but at the same time, I just wanted to move on. So my point is that there are times that you say, yeah, it's time for me to get off of the table and do something else. So you mentioned security, and that's something that a lot of people don't realize is my level okay? It looked like it went down. I'm talking too loud.
No, you're good.
Okay. So you talk about security. It's like I worked for the City University of New York for 10 years. And that, I feel that was part of my security, where I had to set up the retirement plan. And I know that in 10 years or 20 years, however many years I wanted to put into it, I would have some money in there for when I retire and I'm 65 or 75 or something like that. So being an entrepreneur does not mean that you cannot have a job that gives you the security.
That's right.
And, that's something that everyone needs to think about, having that security. So.
And I also just to add into there, I would say, through all the different type of investments per se we spoke about, the biggest investment you can make is in yourself, right?
Of course.
And it's so cliche to say, but you know what? When something's cliche, it's because it's probably legit, right? And the reason why I say that is, how much you're going to invest in yourself for that business to be successful, right? How much you're going to invest in yourself for that security to be secure, right? Because there's folks who feel secure working, at McDonald's, and there's nothing against hard labor, right? Do your job at McDonald's, but you can't be working at McDonald's and expect $100K a year, right? And I feel that's where some of the disconnect happens too. Not to get political or what's happening, but perfect example, Cali literally just passed like 2 days ago to $20 an hour minimum wage for fast food workers, and overnight half of the fast food shut down because it's not a sustainable model, right? You can't have caviar taste with anchovy budget, and that's just how you have to look at it at the end of the day. If you think you deserve more, then invest in yourself and learn a skill that's going to earn you more, right? And if you don't have any skills and where you're at is the best they got, well, then climb to the top of that ladder. Because my biggest pet peeve, and you know, in my role, I'm responsible for 100 people, right? And in prior roles, I've obviously been responsible for less. But the number one thing that remains the same is people who want to be successful are successful, and people who want to be lazy don't exist anymore. They're gone, right? They get ushered out the door, because if you're not shitting, get off the pot. That's just what it is at the end of the day, right? And if you're not here, I used to tell some of my team members, listen, I'm going to grow you into whatever level you're trying to reach within this company. And if you have no interest in growing, then you're going to be the best damn person in your position. And if you don't have interest in either one of those two, we don't have space for you on this team. Because what are you doing anything for if you're not doing it to the best of your abilities? Dad used to say this all the time. Don't half-ass two things, whole-ass one thing, right? So if you're going to do something, whole-ass it, man. He says that shit, you know, to me all the time. He's like, whole asset, that's it. And, you know, it's
He actually said that. I never heard him say that.
Yeah, he's you know, these last few years, you know, it's getting a little loose with things, kind of reverting back and forth. So, but it's really enjoyable because, you know, with his semi-broken English, you know exactly what he means, right? And it's really comical because I honestly take that into everything I do, right? If I'm going to start something that's going to consume some of my time in entrepreneurship, such as, you know, my wife and I, we have a small business. Well, then let's whole ass it, right? Let's not half ass it, because what you put in is what you get out.
Right. Yeah. Well, we are almost at the closing of this episode. Unless you want to add something else to it.
No, I would just ask you this as well too, right? As a gentleman where you're at in your stage in life, right? You've already had X number of careers. You've already run your own business, right? Stocks is probably your favorite way to go, right? But what would you be working on to make,
you know?
At least you're wasting time on it, right? I would say, I say this to say, you know, what would you be working on to make money next, right? At your age, someone who, you know, by no way is this ageism whatsoever, right? But let's be frank, you're not going to take an entry-level position into any company, right? You're established enough where if you're going into somewhere, you're going in there a little higher up, but you know, you may not want to make a move at your age. So what would you be doing next? And what can you recommend to, you know, maybe some of the listeners who's similar in your boat, but, you know, maybe some of their things didn't work out for them?
So I'll tell you what I've done in the past 5 or so years and where I plan to move ahead. And that is, I got to the stage where I'm like, okay, I want to do something, but I don't want to go back into the corporate world. So I started volunteering. Nice. A lot of my time. I became a member of the community emergency response team. I became a member of the amateur radio respond teams, you know, ARES service, you know, helping out. So that's the one thing that I've done. But keep in mind that if at any time I feel that I want to go back into the corporate world, I feel that, yeah, I can do that when I'm ready, if I'm ready.
Of course.
At the same time, if I just want to feel busy and make a little extra money for gas or whatever the hell I want to make, I'll do whatever I want. I mean, yeah, even the McDonald's, you know, you know, because it's an honest living and it's something that I'm going to get along with people and you know, interact and things like that. So there is no thing about, oh, at your age you have to take a CEO level job. No, you take whatever you feel comfortable with. You know, it doesn't matter. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I was just saying thank you for playing into my hand there, because that's exactly, you know, how that wasn't scripted again, right? That's exactly how I expected you to almost answer it in a sense, right? Because I feel strongly that it doesn't matter how old you are or how young you are, right? It's about how much you want to apply yourself. There's been many times I'm in the room, and even now I'm the youngest in the room again, right? On my current team and where I'm currently at, right? And it's okay, but whoever wants it more is going to get it. That's what I really wanted to stress. So if you learn nothing else in here, balloons happen when you do this, and don't half-ass anything, whole-ass it.
I'll see everyone next time.
That was the perfect closing, right?
All right, everyone. I'll see you on the next show.
Confetti.
Have a good day.